Welcome, friends, to Reality Test. What is reality testing, you may ask? Well, it's something we all do every day, maybe with our loved ones over dinner, with coworkers at the water cooler, etc., when we check our subjective or personal emotions, thoughts, and so forth against objective or sort of more agreed upon fact-based reality. Although, because Dr. Ray and I, Dr. K, are social constructionists, we don't actually believe there's one true objective reality, but rather our own personal versions of it constructed in the context of relationships. But you get the idea. So here in Reality Test, we're going to be testing the castmate realities and the producer antics of our favorite reality TV shows against what we know as licensed psychologists about the reality out here, off of our TVs. We hope you'll join us as we attempt to reality test. Listen, y'all, we have a lengthy version of our disclaimer in the show description text, also in our old episodes, but we do ethically need to at least include part of it at the start of each episode. So here's our briefest version of the disclaimer. If you've heard it before, you can skip ahead 30 seconds, or for the old episodes, 2 minutes. So although we're licensed psychologists, psychotherapists, supervisors in the context of our professional roles, we are not acting as therapists in the context of this pod, neither for you nor for the reality castmates we discuss. We will give our opinions as our whole human selves, albeit supported by our psychological knowledge, and we will talk about diagnoses rather than assigning them, as we cannot ethically assign diagnoses without formal psych assessment. But both the opinions and diagnoses we discuss might easily be erroneous, as we don't personally know the folks in reality TV shows. That's it. Thanks, y'all. Now check out our campy theme song.
Are you feeling stressed? Your head's all messed? Well, let's forget all the rest. Fuck it, we're blessed. Cause it's time to talk reality test. Come with us. Let's reality test.
Welcome to Reality Test. I'm Dr. Ray. We'll keep that.
We must. It was too good. It was so cute. I wish
Dr.
one day
K
we'll do
was
the
just
video.
looking at me. I was like,
I kept looking and then my eyes widened. I was like, hi.
I was like, oh, cue. That's the cue I needed. That was great.
That was so cute. I loved it. Like one day we'll do video versions of our podcast, and that will be, you'll be able to see that, because that moment was amazing and cute and adorable.
That was
so.
Really
I'm
fun.
Dr. K, by the way. Yes, it was incredible. Welcome. You may feel free to check in and take a seat wherever you like. This time in the audience of an auditorium for our award show. So today, I actually, by the way, Dr. Ray, didn't tell you this. I actually have a couple other things for once, not just Bachelorette. And if you didn't listen to our segments episode, we're also doing a quick little foray into the House of the Dragon season 2, and we're doing up to episode 7 for today. And next week we'll do the finale, which is episode 8. So I also have a little bit of that, a moment of that. And then the new things I added this week, not new, but this other one is Housewives of New Jersey. I did do a little bit of a touch of a toe in there. I haven't seen the last episode of the finale. I think just maybe not. I just know that they recorded their like quote unquote reunion recently, so I keep thinking the finale's coming up, but maybe it's not out yet. But this is not the episode from this week; it's the one from before, because I'm still catching up. And then I also decided to take a little dip a toe in Claim to Fame. Have you heard of Claim to Fame?
I think I've seen a commercial for it, but I have not watched it in any detail.
It comes on after Bachelorette, which might be why you've seen a commercial.
Ooh, that makes sense.
And it is actually quite good. I've seen 2 seasons of it. This is season 3. I've actually liked it every season. I will actually go out of my way to go, never on time. Like it's always back behind the nose, whatever the word is. I'll sometimes be behind on it, but I always make sure to watch it. And so this season, similarly, doing great. The premise of the show, for those who haven't seen it, is that all of these relatives of celebrities. So we're talking like Michael Jackson's nephew, or we're talking, whatever, lots of famous people. The guy who was on 2.5 Men, and not the Sheen one, the other one, not Charlie Sheen, but the other guy. He has a relative on this season who already went home.
Oh, yeah.
And
John Cryer, or
there it is, nailed it.
Yeah.
Yes, John Cryer, perfect. So his like niece or whatever, and then Robin Roberts or something from one of the news shows. So it's all these people that are like quite famous. Like they're all people that we know, even if we don't know them. you know? And so it's like their relatives are on the show, and you can't tell because they don't look much like them. So their whole game is to hide from each other whom they're related to.
Ooh.
And so the whole game becomes trying to guess each other. And at the end of every episode, 2 people are up to become guessers. They vote, and one of them does the guessing. And whoever does the guessing has to pick someone from the whole group to come up, and then they guess who that person is. If they guess wrong, then their person is released and they go home. So if you guess wrong, then your person is given up. If you guess right, the person who you guessed goes home. So there's always someone going home, and you're always finding out one relative each week too. Sometimes you'll know a couple people's relatives from jump, but most people we don't know. So you're actually finding out with the show, which is a fucking hoot.
Fun.
And I love it. It is so fun. So, you know, it's like athletes' relatives too. You know, it's pop culture in general. So it's really fun. Loving it. I have a couple notes from the most recent episode of that to share today.
Excellent. My only addition is Summer House, the season 5, I think. And I'm now on the reunion episodes, which are always fun.
Oh, fun. I love it.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Let's hop right into this.
Yeah.
How about what mess would you protest test? For anyone who's new, we always put test in the names of our awards. So this award is called Protest This Mess, and it's the meanest, saddest, drunkest, or most obnoxious moment. What would you do, or whom would you give it to?
I am choosing from Game of Thrones. The weird
House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon. Sorry, my bad. I just want it to be Game of Thrones. So when Aegon takes one of the knights out, and it's like a virginity scene, and he's a total jerk to Aemon, who was laying with someone who he seems to really have a connection with. Though I don't know if it's mutual based on some of the class politics and some of the things she said, which like her great line of, you know, when kings or when royals get angry, there tends to be catastrophic consequences, which speaks to like the pettiness of some of their disagreements that cause big kind of catastrophic issues, which we see. Because actually, as I'm thinking about it, this probably foreshadowed why Aemon had Aegon's dragon go down. And it was so interesting when Alicent like held his face and was like, "Are you not over the wrongs of your childhood," or whatever?
Yes, the indignities of your childhood. Have you not already gotten like revenge for the indignities of your childhood? Oh, it's so fucking good.
Because it's like he has been mistreated. And it's like the degree, like, does that mean other people should die? Probs not.
Right.
Does that mean your feelings are valid? Sure. Does that mean people should die? No, probably not.
Including family? No.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So I protested that whole mess. I'm talking specifically about the virginity scene, but I guess I protest Aemon like having his dragon shoot down Aegon too. That wasn't very nice or pro-social. Not pro-social behavior.
Right? Totally. I will say, too, like, that scene was so powerful. Like, we had just seen Aegon, or, like, we see Aegon get into, like, all of his armor and be, like, it's from Aegon the Conqueror's armor, too. So it's, like, part of how he feels powerful is to be dressed up in the armor. And then Aemon is completely naked, lying, being sort of, like, coddled or held by this woman whom more, it seems like, it's mommy issues kind of stuff. And so then when Aegon, like, bursts in, he starts making fun of him for still being with the same woman. And then he just stands up completely as naked on the bed and walks out completely naked. That motherfucker's strong without his armor, and I loved that idea of sort of like the juxtaposition of those two things. That said, Aemon is already powerful. We don't want him to be more powerful because he is psychotic. So no, thank you.
Yeah,
or psychopathic, I should say.
He had my sympathy in that moment, and he had my sympathy until he dragged down his brother. And fair enough, that wasn't pre-planned. He didn't know Aegon was going to be there, so maybe he was in the moment. But then when he put that, like, he sure sees that moment. And then when he put his that ball on his chest, I was like, "Ooh, I'm like all the way out. You've lost me completely."
Yep. He's reminding him that he's still more powerful. And also, he's clearly going to kill him if he can, you know?
Yeah.
It's clearly the message, which is scary.
It's freaky. I'm like, someone should be watching that bed chamber 24/7 because he is not safe. Not safe at all.
No. And he knows it. Yeah, that's scary. Poor dude. Oh, good one.
What mess are you protesting this week?
I Mine are both from, I have an honorable mention, mine are both from New Jersey. So one is Marge on New Jersey, who is just a real big bag of dicks. She can just be so mean. It's like really bad. She refers to Jackie as having hooves. Rude, very rude. Horse
Weird
joke, I guess,
thing to
and very
say.
disgusting. Yeah, really rude. And then like Jackie comes in and talks about having big feet, so then it's like that's sort of the point, I suppose, but really not cool. And therefore that's really not cool. That's why I think it's Jackie. It wasn't really clear, but I'm pretty sure it was Jackie. She was talking about. And then the other is she like refers. So Danielle and Jen Aiden. Have you watched this in the past?
I have never watched New Jersey.
Okay. If anybody has watched it in the past, Jen Aiden and Danielle, the new Danielle who's blonde, she's the only Danielle, but she's new. They've been fighting this season like hardcore. One pushed the other one smashed them in the face with a plastic cup. It was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot of violence. Not good. So they've been fighting quite a bit. The second to last episode that I saw, they were fighting verbally again as well. In this episode, they're both at a slumber party together and they're trying to play it cool. And then Danielle brings a cake for the slumber party and put little like ladyfinger figures all throughout the cake for each of the women that were going to be there. Oh. And the one for Jen Aiden was all messed up and like falling off the cake. And
oh my gosh.
First of all, I know, so passive aggressive, or just aggressive, frankly, aggressive. Margaret, in her like annoyingness and rudeness, draws attention to it. She's like, "Oh, is that supposed to be Jen Aiden?" Right in front of Jen. And so that was a protest mess for me, and I think not cool. And then the other mean thing was that Danielle even doing that, like messing up the ladyfinger. Rude, Danielle. That was my honorable mention. I will say Jen Aiden handled herself quite well in response. I think because she's not on her own territory, because this is the other group. This isn't her usual group. But yeah, it was a lot. Quite rude. Mean.
Oof. That sounds like mean behavior. And yeah.
And they're grown-ass women. Be grown-ass women. Do better.
Do better, be better. Well, along with our test theme, who was doing the mostest for you? What was your most cringe or embarrassing moment of this week?
This, even though I felt bad for Jackie about the hooves comment, she did have a really cringe moment. She recently published a book, and I think I referenced a few episodes ago when she said, "Everyone's been talking about your mom." She said this to Teresa's daughter, like, "Everyone's been asking me about your mom, me and your mom," which is like, no, they're asking you about Teresa because Teresa's famous. Let's be real. You wish you were as famous as she was. She has a book that became a best-selling book, by the way. Teresa does. I'm assuming it was ghostwritten. I'm just, she's. Whatever. So the point is, Jackie has now published a book and is clearly jealous. It's because she says to Jen Aiden, she goes, Jen asks her, "How's your book going? Is it selling?" And Jackie goes, well, she's like, "I thought it was going to be a New York Times bestseller, but it turns out it's a lot harder than I thought." It's so awkward. I was so cringe. I know.
Oh my gosh. She's like if Teresa
Jackie,
can do it, of course I can.
Exactly that. And it's like, girlfriend, You're just not as famous. And also, Jackie just on last season became a friend of. She wasn't even one of the main housewives. So it's kind of not surprising. And also like bad timing, I think, to write a book. But tough watch, tough hang. I definitely think she has been a little bit almost like too forthcoming about her book in this season because it's just giving away how sad sack the whole situation is. It's tough. Oh. She did say it's selling well and I'm getting a lot of press. I don't know how true those things are, but that is also what she said. So yeah, that was a cringe moment for me. How about you?
Sam end this episode. I don't know what he was doing. I'm Sam. I was like, is he trying to be like Devin? Like Devin stood up for him last episode and he's like, I'm going to be about me, about our dynamic. I'm going to put Jen first. It was just like, it was giving like guy who's maybe not used to doing that and was doing it just a little too much. Like and then he felt his like in the car, he was like, "I'm so embarrassed." He was really being honest with how he was feeling. Like the shame spiral I felt for him. It was cringe. He was not nice to the other guys. And for Sam nice, he should be nice. But the whole thing, and he asked to kiss her, and that was tough to watch. It was just it was a tough beat for our Salmon. But I'm hopeful that he'll get a redemption arc. I think he made enough of a kind of headway. And usually like Ashley L, like those I'm a virgin of some sort, that tends to be a good arc for people. So I'm hopeful he'll reflect and do better. But that was rough for him.
Oh my God. So rough. Wasn't Colton the virgin too? Yeah, Colton was a virgin as well.
Oh,
he became bachelor.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right.
This guy will not be bachelor, that's for sure. But you're right. He could come back on Bachelor in Paradise very easily. He's a character for sure. People will remember. And I think they love being like the love virgin. You know, they like love that. They love saying that. And it sounds like maybe he's also never kissed a woman before was the vibe, because the way that he was talking about it and the way she was talking about it to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think also like the way he was so excited to kiss her in that moment was so rough, like crashed and burned. He really did not read a room. The guys tried to help him with that. He still didn't read the room. You're so right. He was sort of like trying to go for the like cocky, I'm putting Jen first, you know, kind of movement. And frankly, she told him the week before, even though you put yourself out there, I liked it, don't stop. You know, she kind of said that. So I think he just went harder because of that conversation after saying, I love you. And she said, don't stop. You're doing the right thing. So tough. Did you notice he said, and I was wearing a denim jacket? And he was wearing a leather jacket.
Yeah, he was not wearing it.
No, he said it in the car. He was like, and I was wearing a denim jacket. I was like, what?
We're not. Incorrect. Oh, poor guy.
I know.
It was cringe though. It hurt going down, if you will. It was a hard
crash and burn
to watch.
Total crash and burn. Tough. Just the tough. How about this next one, which is testing 1, 2, 3. Best production ad, might be music, cinematography, direction, or maybe you might think of it as the best or worst producer antic or moment.
Okay, I'm saying both for this, and I'm forgetting her name. First episode, House of the Dragon, the one who's married to Aegon and is also his sister.
Oh, Helena. Oh, I love her. Yeah.
Who I heard on The Watch, they were saying she might be neurodivergent, and I'm like, oh, I can see that. It's
I think of her as
possibility.
autistic. Yeah, I think of her as autistic for sure.
So that's kind of a cool beat. That was tough. So I would say it was both the best production ad and the worst production ad, because it's like, oh, they're doing this. They're about to kill a baby. I was glad that they saved the girl baby. I was into that. I thought that was a cool little moment. And that she seemed to do some like double jujitsu with them or whatever to outplay their hand or whatnot. But that Sophie's Choice moment was brutal to watch. I was like, wow, they did the thing. And it was so fucked up, but it was also that like Game of Thrones thing of where what's his face got his head cut off at the end of the first season. Where it's like, oh, they did that. Sean Bean, they did that. And it's that kind of show where you're like not sure what's going to happen. It's kind of exciting. And that was a hard watch, really hard.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Yeah.
Oof. But yeah, that's my best and worst production ad, because I think it is both. But ultimately, I think the moment worked. I think it was incredibly hard to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Incredibly painful. And I think it was a risk, right, to like have the last scene be all the rat catcher kind of stuff. Or I guess it was the first scene of the next episode. It was like really tough to do. It was a really risky move, and it worked. They did a really good job. Oh, painful. I love Helena. She's so sweet. Poor thing. Yeah. I definitely think she's autistic or intended to be neurodivergent of a type from back then. And I also think she's like part psychic, obviously, too. So that's cool. I like how that she's also like extra smart, too. Sees the future.
Yeah, she'd be a much better queen than her brother husband, I gotta say.
Factual.
Her
Absolutely
brother and her brother husband, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Both of the brothers and husbands. Exactly. No, not them. Please, not them. Yeah, exactly. She has those moments, because you saw the funeral scene, obviously. Because that is where the autism felt like most obvious. Like she was trying to understand grief and understand people, and it was interesting. It was well done.
And all of those people who were so like in her face, I think it was like a sensory overload situation.
The panic.
For her.
Exactly. Stimulation, overstimulation. Yeah, really good. Really well done, I think. I do like that.
Yeah.
So mine was antic-y. So one was, there are just two, but one was from New Jersey when so there was like a scene where one person texted another person, and the show showed us the text that she wrote, and in it she says like a bunch of other shit that is related to the plot, but I stopped the TV and zoomed in myself to look at it. And it also said in a part that they didn't highlight, because they, when they do the big text on Housewives, they'll do like a big text and they highlight certain parts. So I looked at a line they didn't highlight and it said, "I know we're supposed to wait for the cameras, but I'm too upset." And I was like, wow, really bringing in some fourth wall extra stuff here, like saying like, because they're not supposed to have big conversations without the cameras there because they want to get it on camera. And so I loved that. I loved that they included it. I think they might not have necessarily intended to, but it's not like they're going to black out a line, right? So if they wanted to include the text, they had to include that part. So I was glad to see it. I liked that we were let in on the fourth wall there. The next part was from The Bachelorette, which is when Jen and Jesse Palmer at the beginning get some food together, and we learn the trivia about how, I loved that Jesse, the reason that they don't eat on one-on-ones is from when Jesse on his one-on-ones would eat tons of food and just scarf it down. I loved the footage. I thought that was so fun to see the footage of him doing it. I thought that was great. I also thought that it answered a long speculated upon aspects. Like people talk about that all the time. How come you don't eat? Why aren't you eating? Da-da-da-da. So I liked that they took something that's like part of Bachelor Nation, answered it, had it be a sort of like personal moment with Jesse, and also see the two of them eating together. It was cute. I loved it. I thought it was a great
By the way, Jesse is kind of a silver fox. Looking at footage of him from when he was younger and now, I'm like, you look better. It's so unfair how that happens. He aged really well. He's like pretty attractive. He's not always my favorite. I think he's a step up from Chris Harrison because I think he's reads more genuine to me. But like, he's kind of attractive.
Not as racist.
Yeah, not as racist, and seems like open and kind of game. And I don't know. Chris Harrison always felt like swarmy to me. I never felt good about him. But
and sure enough, he was sleeping with a lot of contestants throughout the years. Gross.
Hate it.
Gross. I know.
Hate it.
He's so swarmy. And then like the racism with Rachel was absolutely abhorrent. I couldn't stand it. It wasn't surprising. It was abhorrent. So I'm glad we have Jesse. I'm sure Jesse will make his own mistakes and has, including racist mistakes, including, for example, not saying the word racism back when Rachel of this last season was talking about racism during after the final rose. But anyway, point being, I agree. He is better. And he's a good looking dude for sure. He seems huge. Like I think he's like gigantic, has those big shoulders and footballer size. Huh. Okay, cool. And, did you do yours already?
Did I? Yes, it was the Sophie's choice.
You were first.
Yes.
Okay, good.
So next, the test results. Who are we holding accountable today regarding most growth or least growth?
I gave one that like probably isn't the most deserving, but it was to Jen Aiden for, as I mentioned, not freaking out about the cake comment, like the fact that the cake was ruined, and then also that Margaret brought it up in front of her. She sort of just like made it, I don't even know, it was sort of weird. They showed her for a second as if she was there, but I never saw her in the same shot as the cake, so I'm not like super convinced. But she did make a comment about it. So like then I was like, okay, maybe she is there. But she didn't lose her mind. I think I wanted to give her props for not losing her mind about her, not fighting with Danielle in that moment. But then again, like I mentioned earlier, she wasn't on her own territory. She was with people she had no one to back her up except Dolores, who wouldn't have because Dolores wants to keep the peace. So I think there's a lot of reasons she didn't. And I don't think she's honestly had that much growth. I get the sense she's still just as upset with Danielle and the whole thing. So I don't know. It's like I guess it's like a lack of test, it's a lack of growth. And yet, like in that moment could have been a shining moment if she were growing.
Yeah. But she could have made a stink, and she made a choice, which is cool.
Yeah. Either way, that was a better route to go. Even if it was self-protective, still a good one. How about you? Did you have some test results to read out for us, either in the growth or not growth areas?
Kyle and Amanda, specifically, before their wedding, they had another rough summer, as they often they fight, they disagree. Kyle's kind of a pill. They love each other, blah, 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 whatever. He wanted her to sign a prenup, which, by the way, I think was a good idea because they have a fucking business together. She was offended. His timing of the prenup was the problem with me. He was like a month and a half before the wedding. He was like, we should get a prenup. That's not when you do it. You got to have that conversation earlier. So it's like point versus execution. Before their wedding, they both got COVID.
Oh.
Right before their fucking wedding. And it seemed like they really like came together and were able to go into that wedding on a really positive note and like feeling really in sync with each other. And it was really sweet to watch. And they showed the episode of the wedding. And it was like a really lovely day for their love story. I know it continues to go up and down, but that was a nice little moment for them where they were both under ridiculous stress of literally having COVID right before their wedding that they had already canceled 2 times.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh, I felt for them. And it was nice.
So much.
Yes, they handled that well.
It's like trauma bonding. They like trauma bonded.
They kind of did.
Oh my God, too much.
Too much. My only Andy in the reunion, I noticed last season he was really kind of coming for Hannah B. I noticed, and she ended up getting fired from the show, allegedly because she was supporting a different drink than Loverboy. That's kind of the story she's telling on her podcast. And I noticed in this season, it seems like Andy's kind of coming for Paige. I think Paige didn't have as good of a season as her last season. And I noticed that he tends to like on this show have sort of he seems to side with the boys, if you will, definitely. Carl and Kyle. And I'm just noticing some of his sexism with that.
Yes.
I think there were some moments where Paige may have been kind of slut shaming Lindsay. I think it was more complicated than that because she was sleeping with a lot of people, which is fine. I support that. And she was seeming to get really attached to all of them. And they knew she had just had a miscarriage. So it was more nuanced. I think they could have handled their delivery better. But it feels to me on the last 2 reunions that Andy is really aligned with Kyle and Carl, which is kind of annoying to see. It's like, I don't know. It's because if Hannah B got fired, I mean, she and Kyle were having massive beef. So it's like, Andy, are you like, it seems like he's then aligned with Kyle in that beef, which I don't love to see.
Big time. And he has always supported the guys. I agree in the reunions. Even in this latest one, you'll see he does the same thing. He supports the guys more than the girls. He does do that. Yeah. I mean, I don't like that. Like, I don't either. It's like both, if you think about object relations, like men are both his love object and like subject or whatever. Like he both wants to be like them and also wants to be with them since he's gay. And so I think there is sort of an interesting bias towards men for sure.
Totally. I think that is absolutely what it is. It's that sort of object relations, maybe his own internalized homophobia of wanting to be like one of the guys kind of thing. But
exactly. Yeah. And I think also he like flirts with them. Honestly, I see him flirt a little bit with them. I think there's something, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But my only point being, I totally agree with you. And I think Andy has favorites for sure.
Yes, 100%. I think Kyle and Carl, maybe because they're also like New Yorkers with him, so they're maybe a little more liberal. It seems like he really has an affinity with those two, which is
right.
Kind
and
of
he
a
goes
bummer.
out in New York a lot, so I bet he goes out with them, and tries to have fun and gets them drinks and whatever. Like apparently he goes around New York like he's the shit. So I'm sure that, he's there with them, and them also acting like the shit.
Boo!
So,
don't love
don't
that
like
test
it.
result. No,
We don't, which also fits though for the next. Are you ready to go on to the next? Because that is right aligned thematically with our Testosterboned Award. Testosterboned. People getting boned by their testosterone because testosterone is also associated with patriarchal, phallocentric, masculine ways of being, or as one might also say, male hegemony. So also white supremacist or misogynist or heterosexist, we also say all those things can count as a Testosterboned Award, and therefore that is what we're going to give to the next moment or person. Whom did you, or to what did you give the Testosterboned Award?
Sam M. making a decision for Jen about what she's going to do. It's so obvious. It's almost not even worth doing, but it so is. And he would not back down because he couldn't, it was like a saving face thing which is, I guess, kind of an Asian thing that's done. So it's different for him. It's like from a narcissistic place. but it's like he couldn't.
I think it's called keeping face.
Keeping face.
Keeping face anyway for Asian. Yeah, I think so. I think saving face is okay. Basically.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So he was trying to like save face because he made a decision for them, and she kind of went against that, and he could not tolerate that. He was like, no, we're doing this because I know what's best for you. It was so gross. I hated every second of it. It was really a bummer to see.
Awful. It was coercive.
Yes.
Think about what else he could be coercive about. I mean, just disgusting, fucked up behavior.
Scary. Honestly scary. But it's just like so much internalized masculine bullshit. He's also just, it's just not, I was about to say, I'm just going to say it. He doesn't seem to be that intelligent too. So when we talk about covert versus overt narcissism, it's pretty overt with him. It's just,
he's not hiding shit.
No, he's not picking up on a lot of nuances, except for
how he would look.
Huh? Sorry, I didn't.
How he would look. Like, think about how his family's coming out and being like, "What a bad edit." It's like, right, because he didn't even think about how he would look for all of these terrible behaviors.
Right. Abso-fucking-lutely. Ugh, it was brutal to watch. But I'm wondering if you have the same one, or if you went different than say Sam M.
I did both and, because like we said about on the segments episode, we talk about something we've mentioned before, and Sam M Mean is going to be a permanent installment there, because I mentioned early on that I didn't trust him and I hated him a lot. And so he's a permanent installment there. He's also a permanent installment in TESTosterboned, because he will be here all fucking season until his ass is out, because he is the perfect example of that. I also had that, and I just literally just kept being like, this is insane. I said, he's doing terribly. I said, no way, come on. And then I said, I hate this. And then I said, why? Why is he here? Can we go? And then I said, you don't get to be. So I put in quotes, I felt so proud in that moment of her. And I wrote, you don't get to be, period. You may go, period. I would like him out. So he's awful. We don't like it. The other thing I put, because I did think we would both also still feel like he's just a permanent installment, I also put something from New Jersey here, which is an interesting one because it's internalized misogyny from a woman, or internalized sexism. So she notices at Jen Fessler's house, Dolores notices in just Jen Fessler's house a picture of a woman, and she goes, look at that skinny picture going on there, and runs over to it. First of all, just the fact she would notice the picture because someone looks skinny in it is a bummer. Then it turns out it's actually Jen Fessler's daughter, Ruff. So then Jen Fessler was like, no, that's my daughter. And she was like, oh. And there's just like a lot of yikes stuff happening there. But it definitely just mostly feels like internalized body shame, like a lot of self-directed body shame, which could also speak to her preoccupation with surgery, which I had referenced in a previous episode as well. But really referencing anyone's weight or having a photo based on weight be why you go look at it is tough. That's a definite sign of some internalized shit there. I feel terribly for her.
Absolutely. Oh, that's brutal. Yes. Don't comment on people's weight. Just don't do it. It's better not done. Always.
Exactly. Even if you think you're being nice, no one wants to hear it.
Nope.
You know?
Nope.
No.
Because then it brings up, oh, you didn't think this about me before, and you really noticed but either way, it's not good.
There's no actual positive. Yeah.
Nope.
Or someone might be like feeling underweight at the time. They may not like how they look, regardless of how you think they look. So, nope.
Stay out. Just, there are other things you can say. I like your personality. I love your jokes. It's
great to see you.
Yeah, you're an awesome driver. I don't know, anything. Anything.
Yeah. Exactly. If you have to compliment something else. Yeah. And I feel like there's an obsession with saying something about someone's weight when you first see them. Don't need to. Just when you first see them, great to see you. Not anything you look great. I don't need to hear it. I know I look great. Thank you very much. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. The point being that like people don't want to, we should just not have it be about how we look. Just say it's great to see you. Period.
Yes. Easy breezy. But now, speaking of better ways to talk about people, what is your Bechdel test moment? So this is the most feminist, anti-racist, or gay, etc. moment of the week.
Fabulous. Mine was Massaria riding for Rhaenyra, just in general. I love that she rides for her. I love that she's helping her. I love that it's a woman-woman leadership team. I'm obsessed with it. Their dyad's incredible. I loved when they kissed. I hated the context of it, as we talked about in the segments of words segment section. I wish it wasn't right after Massaria disclosed sexual violence trauma, but I did love that they kissed, and I do love their friendship, actually. Just their like leadership, co-leadership together. They're delightful. So they're my Bechdel test moment. How about you?
Okay, this is hilarious because for a second I thought that you said the wrong name, but you were just talking about riding for emotionally. So I picked Renice riding, literally, her dragon.
Maylis. Oh my God. Yes, and Maylis sounds like Massaria.
Yes. I thought it was Rhaenys. Oops, my bad.
Rhaenys is her name. Is her name, and her dragon's name is Maylis. Oh. And Maylis sounds like Massaria too.
Oh my
gosh. So Rhaenyra
gosh.
and Massaria versus Rhaenys and Maylis.
It's complicated stuff out here. What I liked about this is her motivations for doing this felt complicated. And I think she was driven by a desire to want to help Rhaenyra because she wants her to be queen. That is not the whole story. Like men often get complicated, sort of multi-motivation layered narratives. I think she got one. I think she was also a little in it for the glory, frankly. Which is fair enough. She was supposed to be queen a while ago, and that got passed out. So it was complicated for her. And I thought that was kind of beautiful, too, that they showed that nuance and that both of those things were motivating her.
Yes. And that's, by the way,
it was just such a good episode 4, House of the Dragon. Well, amazing.
Total chef's kiss. Totally agree. And I think that's one of those moments where the first season paid off, right? Because we saw their whole history, Rhaenys and Rhaenyra, the history of the queen who never was, totally telling Rhaenyra they're never going to let you be queen. They're going to burn their country down before they let you be queen. And yet now supporting her going for it. And that they just barely became friends. At the season finale of the previous season, they had just barely become friends, or like supporters, essentially. She became a supporter because she saw that Rhaenyra was finally the only person around the table not trying to go for war. And so she trusted her more than anyone else and finally rides for her, and then literally rides Maylis for her. The sobbing of myself during that scene. I literally, my husband was asleep and I was watching it. I had to accidentally, but I couldn't help myself wake him up because I was sobbing. I couldn't do it. I was like, no. I was like, don't go. Don't do it. Fuck Vhagar. Just run. Just fly away. And then but like what got me the most was her looking at Maylis. It was the way that she didn't care that she was going to die. She cared that the dragon was going to die oh my
and
God.
That was kind of beautiful because I felt like the dragons, Connor said this too, and I actually heard this on another podcast. They seemed kind of last season.
Mutual.
They seemed like human, not humans. They seemed like they remind me of my animals that I love so much. Like they really ride for their humans, and it was actually really sad to see those dragons die.
Unbelievable.
It broke my heart. My partner's a real animal lover, and he was even sadder than I was. He couldn't quite move on so quickly, but it was sad.
I was crushed. I was crushed by Maylis. Yeah. I'm a big animal lover too. I just couldn't stand it. I really was just sobbing forever. It was the Maylis pair. It was the dyad. It wasn't just Rhaenys. And I love Rhaenys, but the fact that she looked at Maylis like that, the fact Maylis looked back at her like that, and knew it. Maylis was like, I get it, I was like, I get it. We got to do this. I wish we didn't have to do it, but we got to do it. It's like you could hear the whole thing in Maylis' head as a dragon about his whole, her whole script. Oh, God. Horrific. And yet such a good scene and such a terrible scene. I couldn't stand it. I just was wailing. It was so good. And I've seen so many seasons, right? I've seen all the Game of Thrones seasons. I've seen now both of these seasons. I've never cried like that. That scene just got me. It was so good, so powerful, so well acted. I mean, just, the cinematography, everything about it. That scene was incredible.
Oh my God, it broke my heart. The animal content too was so relatable. It was my babies.
Who knew we'd feel such strong emotions for dragons? But I totally do.
Which I didn't last season. I didn't think the dragons were that well done. I thought the CGI was kind of bad, but they have worked that shit out this season. They were
very good this
excellent.
season.
Oh.
Very, very good. Yeah, just really delightful. Really well done. The Vagar stuff, too much, too upsetting. It's so good. It's also so good. Ugh, well done, friends. It reminds me of, just real quick, there's a movie on Netflix that just came out with J-Lo in it called like Atlas, I think, and it has an AI character in it. It's actually really fucking good. I didn't know if I'd like it. I loved it. And throughout the whole thing, I was like, oh my God, they're going to try to make us sympathetic to an AI. Like, how are we ever going to be sympathetic to an AI? And I actually cried during the scene that you're supposed to. Like, they build up to a scene where you actually feel sad for the AI, and I did. And I was like, well, they did it. Good for them. Sure enough.
They did the thing.
Yep. That's what this reminds me of. Dragons are like big and scary, you know, but they did the thing. They made us sympathetic and want to cry for them. So well done.
If you use AI intentionally, it can work. Unfortunately, I think currently it's used a little too much, but that was excellent use of AI dragons.
Yes.
Yes.
Good point.
But what was your worstest or bestest?
Oh, wait, no. I'm so sorry.
Oops.
That was me. My bad. I did the thing.
Sorry.
I did the thing. I signaled to you with my eyeballs, and they were inappropriate eyeballs. So this is the worstest. Put those eyes down. Oh, my God, yes. So they were the worst test of friends. They were the best test of friends. Or you might think about it as the most detestable or attestable of the moments in terms of relationships or friendships. What did you say?
I just said very simply, Devin and Jen, I like it. I think those kids have something. I really can see them together. I think this episode really solidified for me. Like they have something with each other, and I think could form a really strong relationship. Though in the preview for next week, he is not pleased, it seems, about Matt's entry into the show.
Yeah. They never are. The ones who are big up that are doing well, and he just said he loves her or whatever, I feel like he had to have a moment like that, but it might just be a moment. He might just have a single to camera moment where he says that. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, because I don't want him to obviously walk out. He won't walk out. Let's be real.
I hope he doesn't like ruin my feelings about him. I think he is I think he's an authentic person, which is a double-edged sword, where he will maybe authentically have a big reaction to this. I hope that he can self-reflect and regulate himself.
100%. I felt like he did that sort of around Sam Means one-on-one. Like when I was watching the testimonial or his confessional of him saying to camera about Sam Mean having the one-on-one, I was like, oh no, I don't like that he's so upset about it. Like, don't be so upset. But he never let it go anywhere. So I think that could happen.
Totally.
Mine was the boys and Sam Nice. I felt like that was a tough thing to watch. I don't blame them. I think most of them didn't handle it very well. I think Marcus handled it really well, and I think Jonathan handled it really well. I think Jonathan had a moment when Sam Nice wasn't in the room, but the way he talked to Sam Nice about it was perfectly handled. Just explaining it to him, he explained it well. He wasn't rude. He didn't call him names. He didn't say ba. Thomas called him a clown show. Fuck off, Thomas. Stop it with the language. I don't like it. Don't call him names. Unnecessary. So yeah, I thought that was actually handled well for the fact they were not the best test of friends. They were definitely the worst test of friends. The other one was from the Claim to Fame. This is my only example from that, which is that everyone votes for someone named Miguel. Miguel has a single friend, and Miguel started something called the Wolf Pack, okay? And he had a single friend in the Wolf Pack named Diedrich, who's actually Michael Jackson's nephew. Yeah.
Whoa.
And Diedrich is in his 50s, I'd guess, maybe. Miguel looks like he's in his 20s, maybe. And so he has him enter the Wolf Pack. He gets voted to be the guesser, and as I told you, the guesser has to guess somebody. If he guesses it right, that person goes home. He called up Diedrich, his only friend. He called up to guess Diedrich, his only fucking Wolfpack member, and even says to camera, he's like, I have something up my sleeve. And he's like, and he says he was like, even if I have to take someone out from the Wolfpack, it's worth it. It's like, really? You're going as the one person who had your back? And then he guessed that he was related to Little Richie. Thank God he was wrong, because that would have been harsh to call out your best friend and send him home. So Miguel went home, and it turned out he was related to Jamie Lee Curtis, which was kind of a bummer, because I love her. But yeah, it was a whole thing, but it was a very worstest of friends moment. Don't do that. Don't do that to your best friend. He had your back. It was ridiculous.
He was your only Wolfpack member. That's so
exactly.
sad.
Your singular Wolfpack member. No, no longer a pack. It never was a pack. Exactly. It was a Wolfpack dyad turned wolf member.
Wolf duo.
Yep.
Oh, gosh.
Now it's a single wolf.
Yes,
that was
exactly.
terrible.
The lone wolf, if you will.
The lone wolf, yes. Well done. Exactly that.
Oh, boy. All right. So our final award for the day, we have our testimonials. So this is our best straight to camera moment.
Yes. So mine was best in the sense that it gave us a lot of information, which was Thomas, whom I'm not a big fan of, unfortunately, the Vietnamese man that I wanted to do well but did not. He said straight to camera, I'm going to keep the main thing. She wants that ferocious love. I was like, okay, Sam Mean, way to show up through Thomas. Like, Thomas is so far up his butt. It is such a bummer, and I wish that he was not.
Yes.
So that's where I'm at with that.
I agree completely. It's like we talked about last week. I think your read on it was spot on, and I feel bad for Thomas a little bit.
Yeah.
And you don't have to work out your trauma on other people and make them feel like crap.
No, you really don't. It's so rough. Ugh. Okay. How about you?
So the testimonials, I think, if I'm remembering this correctly, both Matt and Jen's gave us a lot of information about their different stories, about how they were perceiving what was happening and how Jen was trying to spin it. And I thought that those were really useful straight to camera moments for me to be like, what the hell is going on here?
What the what? These are different narratives. And if you all are interested in my narrative about the fact that I think it's all a fucking setup, hands down, big time setup, the whole thing, and that all along Matt was supposed to come in at the middle of the season, go check out our segments episode, because I have a whole spiel about it at the beginning, and I have a lot of feelings, and I haven't heard it on any other podcast, so come hear it. Come listen.
Yes, I am very excited by this take.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, also, who are your top three? Tell me who your top three for Bachelorette win are.
I am keeping it steady with Marcus, Devin, and Grant. That is still my three. After your take, I was thinking about adding Matt, but I don't think so. I'm keeping it Marcus, Devin, Grant. My big
That's a
three.
Great point. That's a great point. I actually didn't even consider Matt for this one just because he hasn't been officially brought back in yet. So that's interesting. I'll try to think about it for next week. I'll see if she brings him back in, first of all. But if she does, I'll see if I think he measures up. Because I also still have Marcus as first. He's been my day one, number one. I love him still. He's deserving, very deserving. I do still have Dylan as number two. And I think last week I might have had Devin tied for fourth or somewhere, but he is third now for me, a firm third. And I have Grant and Jonathan tied for fourth.
Oh, yeah, Jonathan is kind of getting up there, too. I didn't like him at first. I didn't like the butt cheeks at first and the weird gauze thing. It wasn't doing it for me. But he's growing on me. And he is quite attractive.
He's cute. He's cute. And he's confident. And I like them playing lacrosse together. I thought that was very cute. I like the way they kiss. Yeah, they're very steamy together. But he's not overbearing like Sam Mean is about the kissing. I also have to say the producers are a big part of their entrances. So that might not have been his fault. Which is kind of a bummer.
That's true. Yeah. That's helpful context, too, because it didn't feel great. But he's proven himself, I think, to be a pretty nice guy. So
yeah, I agree. What a delight. All right, friends.
Fun.
Check out the bottom of each episode for our social media information or the end of a segments episode where I list it off for you. We'd love it if you download us because that's going to help us get advertising one day. And we've had such a fun time doing our awards with you today.
We will see you next session.
Woo! Bye, friends.